oh my God, is it 312? I think of Uncanny X-Men. There were four of them total. Um, Most of them will go for about $30 to $40 on eBay, except for the 297, the gold. That will go for a couple of hundred. There's about 500 of those they estimate in out there. All right, some other stuff to look for is the Toy Biz and Legends reprints. Some of these can be quite desired and sought after. This being an example of one. This one can go for about $30 to $40 on eBay at any given time. Another one that's slowly gaining some attention is this one right here with with X-23 on the cover. But these were put in with action figures and whatnot. So I personally love collecting these. But there are other ones that people lump into the Toy Biz reprints and Legends, which really aren't. This being one of them. This is the Incredible Hulk 340 reprint. This was only available in dollar stores and not part of the toy line. They just, for some reason, the dollar store reprinted this one. Here is the Lionsgate films. When they released the Punisher movie, they gave these out or made these available, and this can be quite sought after. All right, even Pizza Hut got into the game with their own types of comics. These were actually handed out with VHS tapes back in man, was this the 90s? I think that was the 90s. Toys R Us did a few. Here's the first Batgirl, first Robin. There's they did a 121, which I do own that one. I can't believe I didn't pull it out. But those you could find at Toys R Us. Then they did some Action Comics reprints. In fact, even the post office got their hands into that. When looking for here's an example of what a regular top of a DC and this time frame would look like. I hope you can see how there's a issue number and a date right there. There are some to look for, and they do kind of stand out a little bit. They call them the no dates. And these, there's a couple versions of them. This one, and for sure 357 of Batman, a couple other ones, they were reprinted and put into bags similar to Whitman's and the other ones, and resold, and they are technically second prints. But yet the public does not recognize them as second prints for the most part. They're slowly becoming more and more aware that these are actually reprints. This one being a little bit different. This is the World's Finest 289. This is actually put out by Walgreens. Walgreens did their own, and theirs did not have a month up there also, but a little bit different from what I can tell. Okay, here is another thing that you might look across and you'll see on occasion and wonder what they are. This is the regular version of the Untold Legend of the Batman. But here is this version of that same book. These are called MPI or Shanlans. And they did these for quite a few books. They did this for Superman, Man of Steel 1 through 4. They did Captain America 1 and a few other ones. And what they would do is they would sell these with cassette tapes. And you would they would use them as a reading tool to learn how to read. And these were, once again, you can see that they say MPI right on the bottom there. But for some reason they call them Shanlans too. But there are different ones to get confusing. Here is same size, right? You would think it's the same thing, but no. These are the cereal books that came out when. Oh boy, I can't remember exactly when these came out, but they were in cereal boxes. All right, so not to be confused with the MPI and the Shanlans. A little bit different. I hope that makes sense. And then speaking of records and whatnot, this predates even that. These are the Peter Pan books. And They were sold with records so that you could read and listen to the books when you were a kid. Quite a few of those. Now, this is a book, like I said, some of this stuff I don't know the answer to. If anybody knows what this is, please tell me. This is the Sensational She-Hulk 27. This is not a Whitman variant or anything of that nature. And it's not a second print, but what it does, maybe I can show you one of the difference. It has the blank UPC, but it also, boy, let's see if I can get it out of here, but how the counterpart would have advertising here. This is the inside of the cover. This is blank. And both the front and back cover is the same way, whereas there's advertising on that book. So I'm not quite sure what the heck this is. If anybody knows what this is, please let me know. All right. Okay. Now there's a couple other things that are desirable, not just on the cover. All right. But inside the book, there were inserts on some of these books that are becoming quite desirable. And probably the most popular one is the Mark Jeweler insert. So here's the book right here, okay? Here's and there were several of these, but here's the Mark Jeweler insert ad. And I'm sure all of you or most of you know what these are, but these were apparently sold only at army or military bases. And so they're a little bit harder to find than the traditional counterpart. And so this is probably the most known and desired of them. But here's another one that people collect, and you'll see them on and you'll see them on eBay listed at it too. But this is the Pizzazz insert. And Pizzazz was a magazine, a fanzine kind of a thing that was sold back in the 70s or whenever this came out, similar to kind of like, I don't know, like Foom or something like that, I guess. But these all had these inserts, these pull-out things that you could pull out and send in. Another thing that's desirable is the coupon from the Harbingers, the early Valiant books. In fact, I think I've got one. Oh, yep, right here. So the Valiant book, the early Valiant books all had coupons inside them. Here's Harbinger number 1, and the coupon is right here. That you would pull these out and send them in, and you could get something sent to you, and different books for different coupons. So a lot of them pulled out the coupons. So make sure these pre-Unity books that you buy, they all have the coupon attached to it. All right. So here's the Pizzazz one. All right. Okay, moving along, almost done here. Now let's move on to a different type of collecting. One I really like is the Error and the Recalled books. The first one, here's a couple. What a recall book is that they will put a book into print or send it out to be the books that have been printed and somewhat distributed. And then somebody at the big muckety mucks get to see something in it that they don't like, and they will ask to have all the retailers send them back or destroy them, and they will send them corrected editions. Probably one of the more recognized ones is this one right here, the Elseworlds 80-page giant. This has a story in it where Super Baby crawls into a microwave and gets nuked, and also gets thirsty and sucks on the teat of a cow. And obviously the people at DC did not appreciate this, thought it was not good for the readers, so they pulped them. And what's interesting about this is that these were only sent out to the UK, and then deemed that they were going to be recalled. So for the longest time, you could only get them. It took a while for the people across the oceans to get them back to us here in the mainland. So these at one time was $500, $600, $700 books. Now they've come down to $150, $200, somewhere around there. So, but very, very sought after. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen is another one. There's the Batman and Robin 10 recall. There's probably about 30 or so that have actually gone to legit recall status. All right, here's another one. Here's the Action Comics 869. This has this beer bottle right here. That should say Crow Beer on it, like it does here. If it says soda on it, then that is the corrected edition, but that is the recall. Another thing that I like to collect are error books, all right? I like printing errors. I like other types of errors. And 3 examples of that would be, let's get these out of here, some of these. Here is a printing error. Here is what the real book looks like. Here is a printing error. Now, when you look at that, you probably think, at least when I first saw it, I thought that this was a faded version. And for the longest time, I was actually putting it in my doubles box, but I came across another copy of the same thing. And what it is it's just a pigment that's missing during the printing production. And it makes it look a little wonky. And probably some of the more famous ones and desired ones of these is the Fantastic Four 110, the Malibu Sun 13 on the back cover. There's also a Spawn 1 that has printing errors. And then here's another one. This is the Uncanny X-Men 292 or 272. This is the error version. Sorry to bring this to a complete halt again. But here is the regular version of 272, all right? And here is the error version. And why is this an error? Is that here is, this is the regular or the correct inside to 272, but the error actually has the inside of 270, which you can see is different. So very few of these are in existence. They're sought after for people that know about them. So, and then the last form of error that I want to show is this one right here. And that's the double and triple covers. They're quite sought after, but here is one of my double covers. This is Shazam #1, and there is the double cover. What they do is during the printing process, 2 covers get put on at the same time. Sometimes you might see as many as 3. I don't think I've ever seen a 4, but very sought after by certain collectors. And so that's basically it. Like I said, I just kind of wanted to go over this and show you some of the different things that I look for and that are out there that are different than just your first appearances and cameos and hot books and that sort of a thing. So, and like I said, I may be wrong on some of this, or you may have further questions or whatever the case is. I just hope you enjoyed this. Vin Crew signing off.